Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the InnerFight Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's Marcus Smith, and I welcome you to another really interesting show. Those of you that listened to, let me grab it, when was it? Episode number 868, Life Lessons with Abu Teymour. The name Abu Teymour means father of Teymour. Today, we have the real Teymour, which I'm sure he'll be very happy to be referred to as. In today's show, I bring on Teymour, a long-term friend, long-term client of ours, friend of ours here at InnerFight. It was back, as we talk about in the show, maybe 2010, 2011, when his wife actually referred him to us. She said, you need to go and train with Marcus down at InnerFight. And he walked in similar to the way that his sister, who's also been on the show, Pink Taxi, who's also a great friend of mine and a great friend of InnerFight. They walked in to a small gym down in Jumeirah and probably got something that I think sticks with them in a positive way all the way to today. However, we're not talking about that. Today, we talk about Teymour's career. He is an incredibly successful lawyer. But we talk, as the title suggests, about what really is the corporate racetrack, how things go, why people strive for more. Is it okay to be on that ladder of school, university, more university, internships, and then finally, after many years of slaving away, you finally become a partner in a law firm? And is that the way that Teymour went to get to where he is today? Super insightful. I love how this guy, I love his energy. I love how he takes care of his energy. I love how he takes care of his health, and he also promotes that within his children. And I'm super, super grateful that he's been part of the InnerFight community now, along with other members of his family, his children. Everyone has come through. His father on show 868 for a long time now. We've had the pleasure of having these guys with us, and I really hope that continues also for a long time too. This week's show announcements from inside the gym. If you haven't already, please sign up for the 2024 CrossFit Open. If you don't want to sign up over at games.crossfit.com, don't worry, you can still do the workouts here at the gym. I have been pumping you for the last few Mondays with 5-minute shows with Toby talking all about the CrossFit Games season, what it means, where it starts, and how you can get involved. And we also did that show with Andy just last week, which if you haven't had a listen, you should definitely have a listen to it. Last week's show, 872. CrossFit Games season is coming. It starts here at the gym of the weekend of the 1st of March. It's going to be awesome. You need to get involved. Keeping It Fitness on the 11th of March, it is Battle Cancer. Some of you might know this competition. Some of you might not know this competition. It is a teams competition. It's basically a 90-minute workout, and we have managed to secure with the guys from Battle Cancer a heat time where all the InnerFight teams will do the workout. It's the same workout. They will all do the workout, or pretty much the same workout, depending if you have males, females, mixed, however it goes. At the same time. It's at the Seven Stadium on the 11th of March. If you're interested in being in a team, speak to one of the coaches or send us an email directly, winning@innerfight.com. We would love to get you in a team. It's for a great cause. We're raising money for cancer research. Battle Cancer is on the 11th of March. In the gym next week, it is testing week. This comes around about every 12 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit shorter. It's basically the same testing week that took place at the back end of last year. Gives you a chance to test your progress. What you've been up to over Christmas might be reflected. So if you've been good or bad, you will find out. Testing week next week is in the gym. You can register your scores. We will be putting out the scores or sending you the scores for those of you that did testing week before, so you know what you did, and a lot of tests will be the same. This weekend at Jebel Jace, if you are at a loose end and you're listening to the show on Friday or Saturday, come and join us. There is an endurance training weekend. You don't have to be mad on endurance. Jebel Jace is an amazing place. There's plenty to do. There's hikes, there's restaurants. There's even the world's, or they're claiming, one of the world's biggest zip lines up there as well. The endurance camp is this weekend, and next weekend, as far as I know, is quite quiet on the endurance front, which makes a change. Although I do have the mountain bike race in Al Qudra on the Sunday if anyone wants to come and support. Anyway, that is it for this week's announcements. Let's get into the show. This is episode number 874 of the InnerFight Podcast, a corporate racetrack with Teymour Salaam. Enjoy the show. Here we go. Teymour, I've had your father. I've actually also had your sister on the show, which was an honor. And now I've got two more after you if I go through the family. But mate, thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here, Marcus.
We were talking before about, it's quite unique because I was able to interview my mother before she passed, and then I was recently fortunate to interview your father. My first question is around that. We don't see, like, me and you are still trying to be young, and we're trying to be on like podcasts and on TikTok. Well, I'm not. Are you on TikTok?
No social media.
No social media. Brilliant. But do you consciously spend time with elders to learn?
Absolutely. 100%. First of all, with my family members. So obviously with my dad and mom, they live in Dubai. So I'm fortunate to have them here and spend time with them and learn a lot from them as well. Taxi will kill me if I call her an elder, but having an older sister here as well is really nice.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of things together. We train together. You know, a lot of people say we're inseparable as well. So it's amazing having her here. And even, for example, at work, you know, where I work, it's great because it really is like a family as well. It is a family business, and we have a lot of elder people who are in their 60s, sometimes in their 70s, who have been with the company for over 40 years. So ever since they started their career. So that's also a really nice exposure. Yeah.
Do you go to such people and ask them like, I find it weird. Sometimes I'm like, I want to ask this person a really direct question just to like, purely for curiosity and maybe selfish reasons, to just download their knowledge. Do you ever find yourself in those situations?
I do. Yeah. And it's a lot about observation as well. Just being around them, you learn so much. Experience, wisdom that you can't learn in any book, any class, any podcast. No pun intended, Marcus. But really, you know, it's just that life exposure, that life experience that you learn from them.
You mentioned your sister, Yasmin, Pink Taxi, as she's well known within our community. Why do you think you guys have such a close relationship? Where does that come from?
I think it's the way my family raised us. We're very tight as a family, as siblings as well. So it's not only with Yasmin, it's with Amira and with Talal. My parents made a point of us being very close. I mean, almost being friends, doing a lot of things together, traveling together, spending vacations together as well. And even now, with Yasmin and Talal in Dubai, we do still spend a lot of time together. I think family to me is more important than friends.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate because I know not everyone has that luxury as well.
It's interesting because I think about that a lot. Like I had obviously a great relationship with my mom and with my dad. And one of the things my mom said to me in sort of the final days there was she reflected on my relationship with Holly and how we do so many things together. And it's actually made me think a lot sort of about, and it's linked to what you said, some of the stuff we do consciously, but some of it is just like, because of the way that we were raised, we just, it happens.
That's exactly it. And, you know, I observe how my parents, for example, they've always had a very loving relationship. They've always done things together as well. And I think that you discussed that with my dad. And by the way, I know I have very big shoes to walk in both. You've had my dad and then my sister, so no pressure here. But again, you know, I've this observing my parents, and this is what I try to do with Nasreen as well. You know Nasreen?
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, you owe Nasreen because she's the one who introduced me to InnerFight. And she was like, you have to go and meet Marcus. You have to see what he's up to, all the crazy... I was going to say a word that I censored myself.
I'm going to ask you about your professional career as well.
Exactly.
He's been a very good boy. People that listen to the show, and you're one of them, mate, know that sometimes there's quite a lot of obscenities.
But all the crazy stuff you and your friends
I'll
do.
warm you
So
up to swear
I wanted
in a
to be a part of that. But again, this going back to loving relationship, because I've seen the example that my parents provided us, I try to do the same thing with Nasreen as well. And also try to transmit that love, that warmth to my boys who you know as well, to Saad and Amir.
I think I was thinking about you, actually. I'm going to come back to what you've just finished with there, but we were talking about that in the Coaches Summit just the weekend gone, and how actually things started. It was when Nasreen was training with, I think, with Danny or one of the other trainers at Evolve.
I forgot his name. It was
Martin.
some guy who used to climb trees.
Yeah, I think Martin maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, and how it all comes around and
absolutely
how you got introduced, but it's something as well, like this family thing for you guys is obviously comes from your parents to you, and you and Nasreen are raising your boys in a certain way.
Absolutely.
My question that I wanted to pose to you is, I guess we're fortunate that we have those family connections. Some people don't, mate. Some people are from, various challenging backgrounds. What would you say are some of the things that they can do to progress the way that maybe you've progressed without, because you said something quite straightforward there and very true. Like, family is stronger than friends for you. But what do people do when they don't have that family? I know that's a hard question.
No, it's not a difficult question. I think, Mark, is something that I've learned from coming to InnerFight, and I know you repeat this a lot in your classes and also in your podcast, is that we're all unique. And I think with age and experience, you come to understand that better, that we're all unique. You're Marcus, I'm Teymour, Nasreen is Nasreen, Saad is Saad, and Amir is Amir, and they're both everyone's different,
Yeah.
So everyone has to really find what makes them happy. Some people are happiest when left alone. Yeah. That's okay. Not everyone has to always be with a group of friends or out on a Friday night or on a Saturday night. What's also important, Marcus, is sense of community. So find a passion in life. Find something that you really love, and find other people that also share that passion. So, for example, I would never miss this Sunday morning session that I work out with Andy, Stronger with Andy, because we've developed this really nice bond. First, coach and athlete, but also the sense of community with my fellow athletes in this session is something that I really look forward to. So again, and I think you've mentioned this in your previous podcast, sense of community is very important. So it can be friends, it can be family, it could be here at InnerFight.
Yeah, it's quite interesting you say that, because I often look at the various groups, not only within the gym, but I'm like, I see you guys in this case as this example on a Sunday morning, all different personalities, different jobs. Actually, there's 2 lawyers in there. Better be careful.
Can I thank Holly for bringing us this lovely
Holly's
coffee?
Just brought us a lovely coffee.
Thank you, Holly.
Appreciate her, that's for sure. Normally, that group of people, you'd be like, they would never come together.
It's amazing, Andy. Marcus, sorry. I'm still thinking of Andy in this morning session. But it's unbelievable, Marcus, what you just said, because I was going to tell you this exact thing. What I love about this space here is that you come here, and I think the first session that we did maybe 10 years ago, when I had no clue, no idea what I was getting myself into at Evolve. You said, Teymour, here we all leave our egos at the door.
Yeah.
And that's such an amazing philosophy to take with you in life. And that's what I also do in the office when I do with my team now. At work, we all leave our egos at the door. And I was just going to say, what's beautiful about the community that you've created here is that when we are training, I have no idea what the person next to me does. Sometimes I don't even know where they're from, but we all have this incredible bond.
Yeah, it's cool.
And we're all here, as you say, getting better at life, showing no weakness. And it really is amazing. And what you have done here, Marcus, is really something really special and very unique.
I see it a little bit different, Teymour, to be honest. I see it actually, it's not actually us. It's the individuals that come that have the mindset that you've just said that makes it what it is.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, we create the platform, we create the place, and man, for someone who hates rules as much as I do, we have probably too many rules. You know, we've got rules by the water cooler that says when you go in the gym, you should behave like this and we'll behave like this, and there's all this different stuff. But it's you guys that come, park your egos, and don't care. Like, you don't care what this person does.
No.
You care for them if they want to talk
Absolutely.
about it, but it's not a pivotal judgment point of anything.
Yeah, and people leave their ego, but you say that you and your colleagues have nothing to do with this, but I do believe that you all lead by example as well.
Yeah.
You know, through your coaching, through the chemistry that you create, the environment that we have when we come into this building. And you said you have too many rules.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as a lawyer,
we're gonna get to
I
this.
love rules. But at the same time, I would describe them more as values.
Yeah.
That you're trying to instill in us.
Do you think maybe we've tripped on something by mistake that's actually super powerful? Do you think that's why the way that this place runs resonates with you? Because it has some super clear principles, ways of operation, rules, laws, whatever it is, and coming from background as a lawyer, it just clicks because you know exactly how to behave. 100%.
And when we were just meeting before this podcast, you said, Teymour, I knew you were going to be here early. And I think that's one of the values that you instill is don't be late.
Yeah.
Show up on time. And it's so important. That value is so important. But to answer your question, absolutely. I mean, some people are more comfortable in a setting without rules.
Yeah.
Where they can be sort of freer.
Yes.
But I'm a type of person, maybe because of my profession, or maybe that's why that profession called me, that I do like having a system. I like coming into the class and knowing exactly what to do, what to expect, how long it's going to take to finish it as well.
Amazing. So that works. Let's go into it then. We've spoken a lot about your profession. When did you realize that you wanted to be a lawyer?
Many people ask me that question. But I guess my father, whom you met, always wanted us to have a profession. He said, look, to all of us, me, Yasmin, Amira, and Talal, that we all, number one, need to get educated.
Yep.
He said that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And that we need to go as far in our studies as we can. Get a professional degree. He's very much a believer that you need to get a professional degree. So whether it was in medicine, engineering, the law, or otherwise. And obviously, I didn't become a doctor. I didn't become an engineer. I didn't have that calling or that capability to become a doctor and engineer. So the law was something that I could do. And I was always someone that was interested in reading, someone that was always interested in facts, knowledge. So it was a natural development into that profession.
Did you go to university and directly study law?
Well, I was educated in the States. So after I finished my high school degree, I was French educated, as a lot of Lebanese are. Then I went to the States, and in the US, they give you the option to basically study for 4 years, undergraduate degree. You can do anything.
Wow.
You can even do basket weaving if you want.
Sounds good.
I don't think my father would have been very happy with that choice.
We'll bring Abu Teymour back and see what he would have thought of that.
Exactly. So I went and studied Asian studies, which is basically international relations with a focus on Asia.
Wow. And
it's economics, history, geography, sociology.
What took you to that?
Again,
learning so much. This is amazing. I'm so excited. Now we're getting into the nuts and bolts. The family conversations we've had before. Skip to 15 minutes in, guys.
Just, again, my love for knowledge, my love for facts, ever since I was young. I guess also just my father was always a very worldly person. You know, he always had his newspapers. He was always had the news on. He was always reading history books or economics books. And I think that's also being in that presence, having that environment, that also drew me into it, like sitting with him while he was watching the news, the nightly news back then. We'd all sit down. Marcus, you grew up here. There was 2 nightly news, one at 8 p.m. and one at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So I remember
33.
Absolutely, at 8 p.m. Richard Coram.
Yeah.
So yeah, just that part got me into love of travel as well. I was very fortunate. We were all very fortunate that my parents took us every time holidays came in. We'd always go and travel to different countries, whether it was in the Far East or all across Europe. Obviously, I got to know the US very well as well, North Africa. So that also got me into this interest of wanting to study more in depth Asia. This was back in the 90s. Now I'm betraying my age. Started my undergraduate.
We both have grey beards.
Undergraduate in 92. That's when I started. It was a 4-year degree. And back then, China was starting to come out of its, let's say, it's still a communist country, but it's more hardcore communist phase, its red phase, and opening up to the world. So there was this interest in China, in Asia, this rising empire. Wow. So that's what got me into it.
What's most surprised you in that undergrad, so you traveled, what I'm saying here is you traveled a lot. You probably had some, as any sort of 19, 20-year-old would have, 18-year-old would have when you got to university, you probably have a lot of preconceptions. Because we develop preconceptions, or we develop ideals about countries and about cultures and about religions based on newspapers that we read, travel that we do. What were some of the things that you learned within university that were maybe the opposite or absolute surprises to maybe what you'd thought? Could you think of any?
Well, again, living in Dubai or growing up in Dubai, as you were probably, Marcus, you were probably exposed to a lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
You know, yes, not as many as there are today, but I was already exposed, for example, to South Asia, to the Indian continent, so India, Pakistan, Bangladesh.
Yeah, right.
I grew up with those communities. Also, other Arab nationalities. Obviously, I am Arab, so that's a community that's closer to me. But again, the Arab world is composed of so many different cultures as well. A Moroccan is very different from an Egyptian, is very different from a Lebanese, very different from an Emirati as well. Having come here from Lebanon as a Lebanese, this country welcomed me and my family as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think I had as many preconceptions as someone who, for example, is the first time coming to Dubai and exposed to all these different cultures. Having said that, I went to a very American college, liberal arts college, Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York. The name says it all. So it was out, maybe 2 hours north of New York City.
Wow.
So it was very American. Most of the students were American. It was in a small American town called Poughkeepsie. So for me, almost that exposure was very new to me.
You must have been teaching them what the world was all about.
I was teaching them, and they were also teaching me.
How Lincoln they were. This could go really bad.
Be nice, Marcus.
Let's not bash the Americans. I'm not sure how many Americans we have that listen to this show, mate.
But again, you know, I think what it taught me, Marcus, was going there, and here was a student who maybe had never left New York State.
Yeah.
Maybe was from Pennsylvania, which is a neighboring state, or Connecticut. And again, we just learned from each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Almost, mate, it's totally sense. And it's almost the opposite of what I had in my mind, because you sort of, but it's so true because you were so well traveled.
Yeah. And
we live in such a multicultural society here, and you have a great open mindset. As I think people that stay here for a long time, if you don't have an open mindset, you can't stay here for a long time.
True.
Because it's just not the right place. So you're almost going to study something that you've had this real life experience of, and now you're seeing it from these American kids that haven't left the state, or you know, and have really probably at that point no inclination to ever get a passport.
But they have an interesting story to tell as well.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
You know,
so
and
you almost
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love meeting new people. I love listening to their stories. I love like leveling with them, you know, treating them as a fellow human being, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we all want to learn from each other. And you'd be amazed how much they also wanted to learn from me.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
that's why I have this vision in my mind that they're like, Teymour, can you teach this lecture today, please? Because you know more than anyone in here about it.
Thanks for that compliment. There was a lot of other intelligent people there as well, but again, you know, different. I won't say level of intelligence, but different exposure.
So you go through undergrad of Asian studies.
Yeah.
At what point does it tip to law? Excuse my ignorance about the American education system, mate. So where
so you do 4 years of undergraduate. That's typically how long it takes.
Wow.
You get your, in my case, bachelor's of arts.
Yep.
You could also get a bachelor of science if you went more into a scientific course. And then you decide, you know, a lot of people stop there and start the professional careers, or you can go for what you call a graduate degree.
Right.
So around when you're a junior, which is your third year in uni, you start thinking about what are you going to do after college. You know, either you need to start applying for jobs, you know, preparing your CV, doing internships in the summer that will lead you to a career that you want.
Yes.
Or you start taking your, what you call LSATs, which is a legal aptitude test in order to get into law school as well.
It's like, you said before something that I was like, it's weird, because you said that something about not wanting or didn't have the capacity to be a doctor, but this route that you've taken to being a lawyer sounds almost the same as medicine.
Yes,
again, time-wise. So
it took me basically 8 years actually, from when I graduated from high school to become a lawyer.
Become a lawyer.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Because it's a professional degree, just like engineering, just like the practice of medicine. You graduate from law school, but then you actually have to sit what you call the boards as well. It's your professional degree in order to practice as well.
There's a lot, I guess, and this might sound a little bit ignorant, but there's a lot of sort of stereotypes around law and a career in law. junior lawyer, almost like a junior doctor, gets overworked, underpaid. You have to prove yourself. It's brutal. It's cutthroat. It's 60, 70 hours a week sometimes, and all within this vision of one day maybe becoming a partner of a law firm. And talk us through that. Is that right? Is that where you saw it at the start? Do you see it different now?
Oh, do I see different now? Absolutely. I mean, if I could just speak to, 20-year-old or 22-year-old Teymour, the advice I would give him
what would it be? Come on.
Different. Just basically don't take it so seriously. Yes, obviously you need to pass those exams. You need to get those grades. So yes, there needs to be a certain level of seriousness, but I guess the journey, enjoy the journey. It's going to take you in so many different places. You mentioned about, typically, you start working in a law firm. I worked at White & Case in New York, so I did that typical first year experience. And then you stay 8 years and hoping to become a partner in the firm. And that's the typical, I guess, Anglo-Saxon, American, or English way of doing it. Now, my journey was slightly different, and you're probably not surprised.
But I'm excited.
So I graduated from law school, do my first year in New York at White & Case, do the long hours, they call us 1Ls, and you put in the hours at night. It's everything that you imagine it to be. It's even actually worse than in the movies.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
You know that my stereotype is from the few movies that I've watched.
It's actually worse.
Okay, good.
But then instead of staying at White & Case and continuing on that corporate track, I came back here. I always knew that I was going to come back here. My parents wanted me to come back here. As we said at the beginning of this podcast, we're a very tight-knit family. My father was always, of the mindset that all the opportunities were going to be here, even though back then there weren't as many classical legal opportunities as one has now. I mean, the legal field in the UAE and Dubai has completely transformed, especially like in the DIT, you have all the biggest law firms. So there is more of a track here.
So Dad was right.
That was right. Yeah. Because again, maybe I didn't take that traditional path, I won't say the easy path, because it's not easy to become a partner in New York. But I took a more interesting path, a more adventurous path. So until I actually landed on my 2 feet, so to speak, I tried a variety of legal jobs. I worked for a small legal consultancy. I did a few in-house gigs as well. I traveled to Afghanistan and worked with the American government at the time when the Taliban had fallen and Americans were investing a lot of money there. So I was advising the Afghan government as well. Came back here, worked for another prominent UAE law firm, then moved on to Cisco, did that for 3 years until I joined the job or the career that I'm in now.
So that's not traditional at all.
At all. At all.
Why do you think you went that route?
First of all, I didn't really have, so to speak, that luxury of a traditional path, because in the UAE they didn't have those law firms that gave it to you. And also it was difficult to get the legal experience that one would think of in the UAE back then. It was still very virgin territory. Now, that means that, again, yes, there are different opportunities. And it's made me become the lawyer that I am as well.
Yeah, I imagine, because you've done such such a range of different things.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean that the guy, I'm trying to be nice to the guy that's listening that joined the law firm as an intern, as you mentioned, and is 65 and still there as a partner and doing very well. And, you know, that's a great track for a lot of people, but you've bounced around different areas and picked up, I mean, even like
a variety
you
of
said,
experience.
Advising the American government on the situation in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Would have, if someone had have said that to you at 16, you'd have been like, what? You know, absolutely not.
And I had the luxury of doing this in my late 20s, early 30s as well, which I know is a luxury that doesn't come to many.
Thinking about the corporate world, and be it that traditional route that we've planned out or your route, which is for me way more interesting, it is always seen as sort of the Ferris wheel or the racetrack. When you get to here, you'll do that. When you get to here, you'll do that. Once you know, then you can, in law, you can become a partner. Mm-hmm. Is that the right way to motivate people? Is it like that for a reason, mate? Or
absolutely. I mean, again, we're discussing about rules or order and all that. And I took a very non-traditional path to where I am, but again, if someone were to come and ask me, Teymour, you know, I'm thinking of doing a law degree, or someone came, you know, my child is thinking of doing a law degree, what do you advise them to do? I'd feel obliged to tell them, look, you know, study hard, get into a good law school, take your bar exam or the equivalent of where you're practicing, let's say in England or in the UAE. Join a solid law firm, do your 8 years. So part of me feels obliged to tell them to do that. Another part of me tells them also, don't feel obligated to do it. Don't feel bad if you're not going to follow that path as well, because I didn't.
Yeah, you can't. It's not you do as I say, not as I do, sort of thing.
Basically,
it's like there's two ways to get to where you've got to, and you wouldn't be where you are if you'd have gone the traditional route, because you'd be in the traditional law firm, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you ever think and go and have a look over the fence and go, it actually looks quite nice over there?
Look, the grass always looks greener on the other side.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know at InnerFight some other lawyers who have taken the traditional path.
Yes.
And I also look up to them because I know what they've been through, and I really respect that as well.
Is one way easier than another?
Not at all. I think whatever you do, as my father always taught us, life is not easy, life is not fair. You have to work hard for whatever you want. Nothing's going to be given to you. If you put your mind to it, then you need to follow through as well.
Yeah.
As long as you just follow through with whatever you started.
One thing that's always struck me about you, Teymour, is you have this super relaxed energy. Law, business, medicine, it doesn't matter. We see people from all of these industries uber stressed out. And especially coming here, we have people from all those industries. Maybe you hide it well, I don't know. But I think over the last 10 years, I've seen you visibly stressed maybe once or twice. You have a lot of responsibility in your job, in your family. My question is, how are you so relaxed?
You see me relaxed before the session or after the session? Because definitely I come here as a stress release as well. Right. Not gonna lie. So this has been my constant. It's really helped me with life. You know, you always say about getting better at life, but it's true, you know, being consistent, coming here. So it's helped me a lot with stress. Do I carry a lot of stress? I've learned to deal with stress. We all carry stress. Sure. It's how you deal with it. It's how you mitigate the stress. And stress is part of life. Whatever you do, there's always going to be stress. It's how you deal with it as well. Now, in my job, because I'm dealing with people who are sometimes even more stressed than me and come to me with their stress, I can't show that I'm stressed as well, because they're coming to me for advice. They want me to solve their problems. So professionally, maybe I've trained myself to just be serene, to be zen.
That's nice. Do you think, I mean, I see that as a real sort of strength in your personality, I guess, that, you know, I'm coming to you for legal advice. I'm obviously, you know, no matter what type of law people are doing, it's like when someone goes to a doctor, right? They're coming, they've got a problem, they're stressed. Otherwise, I mean, there's some structural law, obviously, that people are going into things, but that's stressful as well. So it's not all litigation. Is it your responsibility to be relaxed? And are you masking something? Like, for sure, some stuff's come to you and you've gone, fucking hell, how am I going to deal with this, right or wrong?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, we're all human beings. And you know what? That brings me to this anecdote. I had an amazing law professor. He used to teach us torts, which is civil wrongdoings. And God bless his soul, he's since passed away, Professor Turkington at Villanova Law School, which I attended. And he said, people are always going to come to you for advice. Some of it is going to be difficult, but you are here in this classroom. You are privileged to be sitting in this classroom and learning about this law. And one day you're going to be practicing law and people are going to be looking up to you as a lawyer. And it's your duty, your responsibility to always be confident.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it still resonates with me until now, maybe 30 odd years later. We all are. We're in unique positions where we can help other humans. And you've said it quite a few times. We're humans working with other humans and helping other humans. Not everyone in their chosen profession would see it like that or like you've just explained. I think I know what you're going to say here, but where does you care about people? A lot.
Is that family? Where is that from? And where is it on an ongoing basis is what I'm trying to tap into.
I think it is family. I mean, I grew up in a household where I was privileged to be surrounded by love. I think we mentioned this earlier as well, but caring love as well. I mean, my parents were strict, as they should be, but it was always done with love and affection as well. And because I was given so much love, I think I have, not to sound too cheesy, but love to give as well, caring to give as well.
Sure. I see it a lot with not only with your children, but with your nephews, for example. Yeah. You sometimes, and I think people have mentioned it here, like people have thought, or it looks like Yasmin's son, Mirwais, is actually your son.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, no, he's the uncle. And then everyone's like, huh? But it's like you...
There's a very special bond between Mirwais and I, and probably Turab is going to get a bit jealous about what I'm saying. I have a lot of love for Turab, as we all do.
Yeah, for sure.
But I really don't see any difference between my boys, Saad and Amir, or any of my nephews and niece as well. I love them as much as my children.
It's obvious, mate. Honestly, it's and I guess, how much of that do you think, like, where's the line? Because to go back to it, you're in the corporate world. It's cutthroat.
It is.
It's tough. And a lot of the time, you know, the whole peace and love and guys, we just need to be nice to each other. Sometimes it works, but it's not kind of the corporate lingo for the most part. So how do you navigate that? Like, where can we see the tough Teymour, the brutal corporate legal guy?
Yeah, I guess when you're sure of yourself, first of all, you can give that love, that TLC, but at the same time, when people know who you are, what type of person you are, the reputation that you have, then you can afford to sometimes be that tough guy.
Yeah, right.
But as long as it's done with respect, you never want to come out being a jerk.
Yeah.
And nor should you. Yeah. I mean, being tough does not necessarily need to translate in being a jerk. I mean, Marcus, there's been times, for example, in the sessions where you would train me and you had to get me from A to B, and you knew I was capable of it, but I just needed that push. So were you strict at times? Absolutely. Did it get me there? Yes. Did I take it the wrong way from you? No, because I knew you cared about me as you care about everyone here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, because I think sometimes I say stuff to people and they do take it the wrong way and the whole thing backfires.
I mean, I remember it was probably the third session, and when I joined InnerFight, when I tell you I had no clue what I was getting myself into, I had no idea.
It's a life sentence, mate.
Not only that, but how was the fitness industry here? I thought when they were saying, oh, come to this session, there's Marcus Smith, he's going to train you, he makes people great. I thought this could be another one of those global gym sessions, and we're all going to be standing in line and doing like bicep curls.
That would have been good as well though, right?
Yeah. That's why I actually showed up.
Yeah, for sure, you were missold.
I didn't think I was going to be doing wall walks. I had never done a wall walk in my life. Yeah, right. And I think it was the second or third session. Remember those 5:30 a.m. sessions? Yeah, that's what the only time you used to teach us.
Yeah.
The room was still a bit darker.
Yeah.
And you asked me to do wall walks. I had never done one before. And I think we had to do like 10 of them.
Yeah.
And I will never forget
at those
that
narrow
moment.
pillars. The pillar was less narrow than the one behind you.
And everyone around me seemed to know what they were doing. But you got me, you know what? You got me to do wall walks. And today, I was just thinking, because I remember I was seeing you 10 years ago playing also with one of those Atlas stones.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, he looks awesome doing that. I wish one day I could do it. No way. And this morning, that's what we were doing. So
yeah, I was talking to Adela before.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one to reflect on. So obviously, mate, gym is one of the biggest things that allows you to stay calm. And
yes.
As a family, from your father, I spoke to him on the show, but we obviously pass a lot on the beach track. It's something that's in the family. What else do you actively do to take care of your mental health and just maintain this state of calm and good energy?
Look, I mean, again, what I do, I just follow the InnerFight way. I mean, I don't want to make everyone feel like this is a cult.
That's fine too.
Or maybe you do. No, but again,
to be truthful.
Look, you know what? It's common sense.
Yeah.
People like to overcomplicate things. Keep it simple. I think that's another one. Simplicity is another one of your values as well. It's basically recovery is very important.
Yeah.
My sleep, non-negotiable.
Really? Which is rare for a lawyer, right?
Yes, but even though I know I'm going to have a long day, it's how I plan that day.
Nice.
And I'm more of a morning person. So I go to bed early.
Yeah.
Usually 9:30 and 10.
Yeah.
Wake up without an alarm. 4:45, 5 a.m. in the morning, feel great. I've had my sleep, so sleep is a non-negotiable.
Nice.
Then obviously, what you put in yourself, nutrition. Number 3 is being consistent about number 1 and number 2, and also working out. Yes, I travel a lot, as you know, Marcus. in planning this podcast, we wanted to do it earlier, but I was saying, sorry, I'm not in the country. And even when I travel, I try to keep this consistency of good sleep, good nutrition, and working out. And whether I have access to a nice hotel gym or this simply doing, body weight workout. As long as you're just doing something, and that has really kept me, calm and allowed me to carry on with my job and also with the family life.
One thing that is always consistent from you to me is sharing different articles as well.
Yes.
You read a lot.
Yes.
It seems.
Yes.
If I judge, you share stuff that's relevant to me, but I'm always think if someone sends you something that's relevant and the frequency that they send it, it means that they're actually reading a whole load more other stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that isn't relevant. What is that? Your curiosity? Is your curiosity still there today, as active as ever?
100%. I mean, whether it's reading about something new, learning something new, traveling to a new country, and I've been really privileged with my role, my career, to travel to many fascinating and interesting countries as well. Also, I'm really fortunate that I have my wife Nasreen, who also shares this same passion for travel. So if we were to look at our budget, definitely, traveling is something up there, as part of the leisurely budget.
I guess that it really ties all the way back in. It's quite holistic, isn't it? Because it ties the way back into when you were younger, and that's what led you to what you do at university. And I have sort of a final question, which maybe it's for personal reasons that I ask it, because I'm curious about it. But I always look at people that have lived here for quite a while. I think I asked the same question to your father, especially there's a lot of Lebanese, a lot of people from surrounding countries. Do you see yourself in Dubai forever?
100%. Dubai is home. My grandfather came here, God bless his soul and rest his soul in peace. My dad made a life for himself, my mother, and us. And I hope that my children will also consider Dubai home.
Really?
Absolutely.
They were both born here as well, right?
Well, they weren't born here. They were born in Canada, but they came here as babies.
Yeah. Do you ever have a conversation with them about where home is?
Oh, all the time. And as a matter of fact, they're the ones who have a conversation with me.
Really?
Yeah, Saad is always telling me that, he wants to live in Dubai.
Really? Yeah. This year is the big half century for you, right?
Yes, it is.
Are we allowed to talk about
Absolutely.
that?
I think my father was very honest about his date of birth. So August 30th, 1974, I expect everyone at InnerFight to come and wish me a happy birthday.
Make sure that we're still here. Do you see that? Are you moving to another chapter? Is it?
Yeah.
Does it have meaning? I mean,
of course it does.
People react different to birthdays.
And I'm actually really looking forward to it because, I feel like I've racked up 50 years of experience, and I really look forward to the next 50 years if God gives me
That's amazing.
a long life. Yeah.
Do you have, in your mind, timelines on things?
Not really.
Not really.
No,
You're
just live.
And it's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool. It's, and I think a lot of what you've said, obviously, Teymour, answers my direct question of why your energy is so good and so consistent over time, because you're rolling, you're successful in your career, you're enjoying it, you enjoy your family because of what your parents gave you and what all of your siblings and your children give you, and it's...
Yeah, I enjoy life, and most important, I'm very grateful for the life I've had. Absolutely. I know I'm very fortunate, very privileged to have lived the life I've had until now.
Hey, that's amazing. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Marcus. It's been an honor being here.
Do you think we can get your brother Talal on the show at some stage?
For sure.
He's also a lawyer, right?
Absolutely. As long as he comes and does a few sessions with us.
Yeah, he kind of left us a few years back, didn't he?
He's been busy with life as well.
He stays fit. I see him. But yeah, it'd be interesting. And then maybe we even get Amira when she
yeah, I'm
visits.
sure I know they have a lot of interesting things to tell as well.
They do. It would be an honor, and it would be the first time that we have so many great guests from one family. So,
well, you've had the Salams on your podcast now.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
No, it's great, mate. We appreciate you. We appreciate your energy. Thanks for sharing, and I'm sure for a lot of people that are in a similar state, can we call it that, or on a career path similar to what you've shared, something that's, I'll definitely go back over this and make some additional notes. I've made no notes. I've been busy asking all these questions, but Teymour, you constantly teach us, and we appreciate you. So
and thank you, Marcus. And again, I didn't have any idea of what to expect coming on your show, but thank you. Again, this was like our normal conversations. We sit down, have our coffee, and it was just speaking to a friend and a brother. So
appreciate
thanks, Marcus.
it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.